Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Clip Studio Paint tutorial. So for this tutorial, what I wanted to go over was the transformation tool. The transform tool is found here under Edit, Transform, and you can see there's a free transform and then there's mesh transform. I'm going to go over both of these. So the best example I can show you about how to use a free transform is to manipulate perspective. So I'm just going to draw here a let me get a blue color here. Let me draw a horizon line. This is not perfect, so this is our horizon line. And the way we do perspective is we get 2 points. Well, this will be a 2-point perspective. You can do 1 point, but for this example, it works better if we use 2-point perspective, because what I'm going to do is manipulate the perspective using the transform tool. So I just made a small little grid here. Now I'm going to draw something simple in a different color. Let's do red. I'm going to draw a house, and I can draw a house using this perspective here. I'm going to use this little corner here, and this will be one side of the house, this will be the other side, and it'll be right here. Now I need to go back to the perspective because let me make that a little bit higher. So let me make this something like that. Okay, so now I can go back to the perspective tool and I can line this up to this corner here and then this corner here. There we go. So that tells me that these red lines here go to here and here. And so this is this little building, this little house, whatever you want to call it. I'm just gonna eyeball this, but this is supposed to go down to the perspective point here. Anyways, so there's your house. Now the thing I want to do is manipulate this. Say this is too much exposure on this side of the house. I want it to be more in like in a deep cut. So I want the perspective point to be here now, so that this point here goes to this corner of the house, which means this corner here, let me zoom in real quick, means this corner here needs to be moved this way, and then everything else is going to follow suit. But I don't want to erase and redraw everything, so what I'm going to do is use the transform tool. So what I like to do is, let me go to the layer where the drawing is, okay? And you're gonna need to select the area. So I'm gonna select just this side of the house here, and you can use any selection tool. Because most of these edges are straight, I'm going to use this polyline marquee, and I'm just gonna select like just a little bit outside of the drawing, not too much. It doesn't have to be exact, something like that. Now that I have that selected, I can go to Edit, Transform, and Free Transform. Now it puts this square here, and you can see these little tiny squares around the big square here. And all I gotta do now is drag this square however I want. So I'm gonna grab this point here, and I'm gonna simply drag it over until the line matches up. You can also move it down, up, whatever you want. And so, but I'm matching this red line with the green line to get the new perspective. Now you can see over here it didn't quite match up, so that's minor correction that will be needed when we do actually it should match up. So I'm going to grab this corner here because I just thought about it, and not only does this line have to meet this point, but this point has to also meet the green point. So it would have to come down a bit. So that's, and I can also, you know, as narrow as I want it, I can make that however I want. Oops. So something like that. And then I'm gonna hit OK. And then anything else I can just easily fix manually. So that's one way you can use the transform, the free transform. So that's one way that I use the free transform. Another way that I use the free transform is one of the best ways that I found using the mesh transform. The mesh transform is when I'm drawing things that need to be on an angle, like on clothing or letters on a newspaper. So the easiest example for me that I can think of right now is a Superman symbol. So if you got a picture of, or a drawing, not a picture, if you got a drawing here of Superman, should have prepared something, but oh well. So something really quick, you know. And you want to figure out how to draw the S on his chest and make it look like it's really there. Let me get another layer. So something like you don't want to draw it like this, even though that's what it looks like. In real life, if it was really sitting on his chest, it would kind of be kind of angled like this. So it would have this curve here. This would be shorter than this one, because just the way, the angle you're looking at it. But if you can't figure that out, let's say you have a really complex symbol for your characters, what you can do is just go ahead and draw the symbol as straight as you possibly can, so that everything's even. And then you go back to your selection tool. This time I'm going to choose a lasso. And what I like to do is just stay close to the edge of the line. It doesn't have to be too close, but you want to stay close. And then what I do is I'm going to go ahead and move it to the center of the chest here. Hit OK. Keep it selected. Now we go back to Edit, Transform, Mesh Transform. Now here, if you look over here in the Transform settings, you can see that I have 4x4, and that just means these little square nodes. I have 4x4. You can do less. You can do 3x3. Whatever helps your drawing. So I think 4x4 is pretty good for this. So, and then with this, what you can do is imagine this mesh curving to Superman's chest here, and so you can manipulate the drawing you just did to give it more of a realistic look. No, it's too much. I don't like this really pointy point here. Oh, maybe it's this here. Oh well. Here we go. And you hit OK. And so now the symbol on this chest looks more like it's on there. Now, like I said, this is more for I'm so used to drawing Superman symbol, it's really easy for me to do it by hand. But if you have something more complex, you can certainly use the mesh transform to warp your drawing however you want. Like I said, another example would be the newspapers. So let's say you have your character and he's reading a newspaper, and the newspaper or the book or whatever is like this. So you want your text to follow something like this, right? So you can go to your text here. Let me pick a standard font here. Where is my, here we go. Let me pick this font here, and I'm just gonna type something in. Hello world. And so there's no way, Clip Studio Paint doesn't have a way for you to manipulate that. So I think that's big enough. So there's a text, but you can see the paper's curving, but the words are not. So what you want to do is, so after I lay down the text, I'm going to rasterize the font by going to Layer, Rasterize, and so now the words are fixed. And so again, I'm going to use a selection tool and select the words. Again, try to stay as close to the edge of the words as possible, and then File, or Edit, I'm sorry, Transform, Mesh Transform. Okay, that's a bit too many nodes, so I'm gonna go maybe 3 by 3. Yeah, 3 by 3. Now the good thing is I put these guidelines here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna match these to this. That's okay there, I guess, for right now. No, so you know what? I think I do need more nodes. So let me cancel that. Let me go File, Transform, Mesh Transform, 4 by 4. Okay, we'll try 4 by 4. And so I'm just gonna put these nodes here to give it, who knows, maybe I needed more nodes. You know what, maybe the problem is I don't need to take it all the way over there. So something like that. Oops, that's a little bit too high. I think that'll work for this example. Hit OK and deselect. And so now your words kind of look more like they're curving. So that's a good trick. And then of course delete the, that's too big an eraser there. Delete your guidelines. If I would have known, I would have put it on a separate layer, but whatever. So you can do, instead of handwriting, because if you handwrite that, you know, it's not gonna look like a newspaper, because you know, a newspaper used what looks like typed words, so very mechanical looking words. So you can use the font to create your text for all this. And then yeah, of course, if you could have wrote a big block of text, right, and then manipulated the whole block of text so that it would curve with the paper. So that's another way of using the mesh transform. So hope this video was informative. Again, I apologize for my lack of videos. I've been working hard on my comic book. I know I said I was going to make a video on walking my comic book through, but honestly, I want to finish off I'm working on the page 20, I believe. So once I finish page 22, I'll walk you guys through my comic book, because that'll complete the second act of the story. So again, I hope you found this video informative, and if you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.